All right, and we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So we had another absolutely crazy weekend in crypto. If you were watching Twitter all weekend or YouTube or even just checking your phone watching the cryptocurrency prices, let's just put it this way. Last weekend was not for the faint of heart. So I'm going to talk about that today on this channel, in this live stream. Like, what happened? What's the drama that's going on? What's going on with the cryptocurrency prices? Should you be worried? Because it's got a lot of people thinking like, hey, is the top end for crypto? Is this game over? Are we going to enter into another multi-year bear market? So we're talking about that on this channel and a lot more. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Culture Hives, Kay, Cryptechnology, Taylor, Jacqueline, and Brahmo, Nira, and Liebeck. Awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's jump into the crazy drama that happened over this weekend on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere that you find out about cryptocurrency related information. You know, it was absolutely insane. So it all starts with our main man, Elon Musk, who everyone in crypto now has a love-hate relationship with. You know, it was very much a loving relationship earlier this year when Tesla came out and bought, $1.5 billion of Bitcoin for their balance sheet. So, Elon as a crypto, maybe bull, I guess that's a fair categorization. If you're watching this channel, Elon, and you disagree with me, let me know. I'd love to have you come on and clarify your position, because I'm sure that's what everyone wants to know. It's truly the $1 million question for a lot of people. It's hard to always tell what Elon's up to. So what happened? Well, let's just go to his Twitter feed, because I think that's probably like the best way to actually sift through these things in real time here. So I'll pull up Elon's Twitter. So basically, we have a lot of cryptocurrency prices going down over the past couple days, in case you haven't noticed. And a lot of this corresponds to some of Mr. Musk's statements on Twitter. We'll check on the tweets and replies here, because basically he kind of got into some arguments with people on crypto Twitter. Let's just see how far we can go back. So let's see, where did it start? So the first thing I want to talk about is how he got into Dogecoin, right? Talking about, some of the issues there. People were talking about how do we solve the concentration issues of Doge. I've talked about that on this channel, like Doge has a much smaller node count than, Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff, more problems with centralization. But basically, he starts off with sort of like soft pitching this solution for Doge. So for those bad at math, 100x higher transaction with 100x volume fees being... Actually, basically, before that, he was talking about like how we could basically take Doge and just, easy button, make it 10x better by increasing like transaction costs, increasing the node, all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying find it. I had it pulled up on my Twitter feed here. Sorry, I lost it. There's so many tweets to go over. Give me just one sec, everybody. All right, here we go. Oh, it's unavailable. No, here it is. Awesome. So ideally, Doge speeds up block time 10x, increases block size 10x, and drops the fee 100x. Then it wins hands down. And then I saw Hayden Adams, mastermind behind Uniswap, respond to this. He said, ideally, Tesla batteries last 10x longer, recharge 10x faster, and drops cost 100x. Then it wins hands down. So I thought that was pretty good and illustrates the point here. It's always hard to know if Elon's just making like, a big brain move and he realizes this stuff is, there's a lot more to it than that, and just does things for different reasons on Twitter. That, knows a lot more than he lets on for sure. But this is like textbook, excuse me, like newbie crypto stuff where we say, oh, this problem is easy. Let's just like flip a switch and make it so much easier. Let's just change the settings. Let's make the block time 10x faster, increase the block size 10x. It's just easy. Let's just do it, right? And this sort of highlights the point. It puts it back in his court and says, hey, here's a problem you're really familiar with. These Tesla batteries, let's just make them last 10x longer, recharge 10x faster, and drop costs, 100x. Should be easy, right? So that's the whole point. We saw that was the first statement that he made. The other one was actually talking about Bitcoin itself, all right, and the prices. So let me pull those up here. Let's go back to his profile. It's a long history of Crazy tweet. So the next one was they started kind of getting into some heated debates with other people on crypto Twitter. Basically, it started off with this thread, kind of doing some FUD on Bitcoin, talking about, Bitcoin is actually highly centralized with supermajority controlled by a handful of mining, aka hashing companies. A single coal mine in this place flooded, almost killing Bitcoin miners, and Bitcoin hash rate dropped 35%. Sound decentralized to you? And he's talking about, hey, cryptocurrency experts, you ever heard of PayPal? It's possible maybe that I think he made a typo here, more than you realize about how money works. So he's kind of getting into back and forth arguments with these folks. And the last thing that really got people totally freaked out was he made some comments that made people think that Tesla had sold their Bitcoin. This was sort of the thing that really tipped people over the edge. And this was a screenshot. He actually posted it from somebody's request. So this was the original tweet. It said Bitcoiners are going to slap themselves next quarter when they find out Tesla dumped the rest of their Bitcoin holdings. With the amount of hate Elon Musk is getting, I wouldn't blame him. And he replied and said, indeed. So that was the point, I think, that people really started to panic. But he did come out with a tweet later to clarify. It says, to clarify speculation, Tesla has not sold any Bitcoin. All right. So this was absolutely crazy. I mean, I saw people blowing up my feed all weekend about this type of stuff. I was just kind of sitting on the sidelines, just watching all this play out, just kind of taking it all in. Figured I would, wait until today to kind of give you a summary digest of all this. But it was absolutely crazy. The volatility for Bitcoin went through the roof, started, going down a lot. Lots of other cryptocurrencies doing the same thing. And it kind of triggered this overall, market panic. And people are wondering hey, is the top in? What does this mean? Can one man like this just single-handedly send out a few tweets and end an upward trend for a major asset class, or what's becoming a major asset class like cryptocurrencies in general? So we're talking about that. We're talking about a lot of other criticisms of what happened here. But let's start off with the actual prices and what's likely to happen. Are we now in a bear market? Is the bull market over? All that type of stuff. So let's start there. Well, as always, like I tell you on this channel, nobody knows for sure, to tell you the truth. And what I like to do in these types of situations is look at what other people who are personally smarter than me in this particular area, what are they saying, and try to weigh their opinions. Because like I always tell you on this channel, I'm not a big trader. I don't consider myself someone who knows exactly what the cryptocurrency price is going to be on any given day in the future, right? But I am personally invested in this stuff, and I try to make the best decisions that I possibly can for my own benefit and also for yours. And so let me just kind of put on my thinking hat, let you see how I look at the situation, determine what's likely to happen. Because at the end of the day, it's all about probability. It's all about likelihood. So what are people smarter than me in this particular area saying about this? Well, one person I listen to a lot in this space is definitely Raoul Pal. I've talked about him a lot on this channel. Has a really great track record of looking at these markets and saying hey, he basically called a lot of the bottoms for crypto and has been right about a lot of other things for this particular cycle. So what is he saying about this right now? Well, this was just a few days ago before this happened, okay? But let's say, he says, last week alone, I talked to 100 plus PMs at one of the world's largest hedge fund groups about adding digital assets. A group of 100 global family offices, a media giant about disrupting their business, and a famous music mogul about the opportunity to disrupt. So a global exec search firm about how tokenization changes everything, several well-funded hedge fund managers who have made or are making the shift, and a bunch more. So this is how fast things are changing regardless of the current price action. This is the exponential age is upon us. So basically what he's saying here is that there are a bunch of people with a lot of money sitting on the sidelines or getting into the space, and then that is momentum that can definitely push this space forward. So we talked about what's needed in order for a bull market to continue? Well, you basically need the same people who are participating now to buy more, or you need outside on net, or you need more outside people to come in and buy, or a combination of both, right? And so what he's saying is, we have a lot of people who are sitting on the sidelines or getting in who could really move the needle. So all the people that he listed in this thing, it only takes a handful of people with that level to really move the market in the sense that they have a lot of funds to deploy and can really push the space in the right direction. So that's positive news for can this bull market continue? Do we have more people who can buy in and make the price go higher? So I'm bullish in that regard. Another thing is we talk about on this channel, like, hey, what are the other bullish catalysts down the road? I've talked about this. It's like, if Bitcoin kind of has this anti-narrative going for it with the energy debate on is Bitcoin bad for the environment, all that type of stuff. And then you've seen a lot of people like kind of slow down their buying. Like, what are the bullish catalysts that can make the Bitcoin bull market in particular, not necessarily the crypto bull market, but the Bitcoin bull market go up? And we saw some hints about this from Raul the other day as well, saying this is my view, the ETF is the next rocket fuel for this market. The wall of money keeps coming, but it takes time for everyone to get internal approvals. So I have so many conversations helping hedge funds, family offices, and asset managers each week, all happening and more. And that was, of course, a response from Lark, the crypto Lark. You can check out his channel if you haven't already. But so, yeah, there's lots of things, lots of bullish things around the corner that could cause this market to go higher. And an ETF could be a signal for Bitcoin in particular to make a next big leg up. So there are bullish catalysts like that. Again, this is what people, sort of smarter than me are saying. So other things you have to think about for why the prices are going down. Of course, we have like Elon sitting there, on Twitter, going kind of crazy, or people mostly going crazy in response to what Elon's saying. I do think that does have a big impact on what happened this past weekend, but there's lots of other factors that you want to consider too. So a couple of those are like one, U.S. tax deadline was like recent, okay? Or I guess it's today, isn't it? I can't remember what the actual day is. But anyways, U.S. taxes are a big factor. So this happens a lot where you see people sell right before a tax deadline or around a tax deadline. Another thing you have to think about are basically what's been going on in the stock market. The stock market has not looked great as of late. Another thing you have to think about is the fact that, Bitcoin has been kind of losing steam, and we've been talking about on this channel, talking about potential flipping where, Ethereum could replace Bitcoin as the number one cryptocurrency by market cap. Of course, Ether also lost quite a bit of steam over this weekend as well. But, we've been looking at some of these metrics for Bitcoin on chain, and we've seen stuff like, whale wallet balance is decreasing. So like Bitcoin, the number of people holding 10,000 Bitcoins in their wallet, I mean, that's been going down significantly for a while, okay? And this is definitely something to think about as to reasons why we could have been losing steam despite just what Elon said, right? So, that could be the type of thing that like blows the bubble a little bit, but there are other sort of like factors that are in play here. And so you can see this whale wallet balance has basically been decreasing since, December, or really in November. And you start to see a kind of flat line here. All right, now we see a gradual uptick. So if this starts increasing, this could be bullish, where you see whales accumulating essentially at these price levels. So definitely other angles you have to think about. So let's see here. So those are the things. Like looking at what these other people are saying about this particular market, people that I've listened to for a while, that I think have caused, have hit the nail on the head for a lot of things, have been really right in the past. That gives me hope for what's ahead. But that being said, nobody's had a crystal ball on this type of thing, for sure. We don't know how long the current price action is going to keep doing what it's doing. Could we go lower than this? Yeah, we could. Could we just see sideways chop here for a while? We could. Could we see a relief pump back to $50,000? We could. Yeah, a lot of these things are in the cards. And is it also in the cards that we are in a bear market? It is in the cards. I mean, you have to think about it in terms of probability, like I was saying. Now, that being said, is it going to be a crazy like bear market like we saw in the past, like crypto winter 2-year type of thing? That seems less likely if we enter into that phase of things, because we haven't seen this massive euphoria like we saw back then, and we see a lot more fundamentals with the technology right now, and a lot more participants in the space who I think have a more vested long-term interest in holding, right? So that's what I would say about the situation. I mean, I haven't done anything, right? I'm still fully as fully invested as I was 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 3 months ago. I haven't taken any money off the table, so that tells you what my personal actions are in, light of this recent information. But that's where I see it today. So if you got any questions in the chat here. Somebody says not even close to over. Yeah. Somebody says Ealer put Dapp on the market, but might have been good. Yeah, some people are talking about this. Like, if we see kind of what happens when Elon says something slightly critical of Bitcoin, it can actually be healthy for the market. And we see a lot of debates here that, you don't want just like one person having such massive sway and influence over an entire asset class like this. Because like I said, it's become a love-hate relationship. Like, people really love it when Elon says good things about Bitcoin, buys a bunch of it. And then, they don't like it so much when he says bad things about it and the price goes down. So it does seem to be a problem. And somebody asked me this in the live stream the other day. They were like, hey, isn't it bad? Isn't it not? What does it say about decentralization if one person can move the price like this? So you have to think about that also in terms of the market cap of the cryptocurrency itself. So the market cap kind of has to get bigger in order for it to be less volatile. And ideally, what you would want in that situation is more people to hold larger amounts. So you'd probably want like basically more whales in crypto and in Bitcoin in particular to sort of support that. So you want to be decentralized and that there are more large shareholders that aren't, are high conviction, and the actual market cap itself to be higher, because that means when one person sells, that it has less of an overall impact on the price. So I got lots of questions in the chat here. So there's lots of some more drama that I saw over this weekend too. Was definitely let's see here. Let me pull it up. Actually, I'll probably skip that one for now. So the chat's moving so fast, I'm trying to read it here. Somebody says, does Bitcoin impact the price of all of the cryptocurrencies? So Bitcoin does seem to have a pretty big impact right now. We've considered Bitcoin to sort of be the market leader. We look at a lot of on-chain metrics in order to determine the overall health of the market. At least that's been sort of the practice of many people over this past several months. That's what we have done as well. So for example, we have looked a lot at the NUPL metrics. I'll put that up on my screen here. So NUPL is net unrealized profit loss. This is on-chain metrics. We can see where we are right now. I mean, we have gone down quite a bit in terms of NUPL. Let's see here. All right. Somebody's keeps spamming. I'm just going to mute them. So yeah, we use on-chain metrics a lot. So NUPL metric has gone down quite a bit. We're at 0.56, and the last time that we've been at this level, let's see here. Last time we've been at, let's see, hold on, was back in November. All right, so this was pre-Thanksgiving in the United States. So it's been a long time since we've been at this level. So if Bitcoin continues to be the sort of indicator of the overall market, then that's a ton of headroom for this bull run to go longer. Assuming that we do have more people coming into the space wanting to buy, that means this market is a lot less frothy for Bitcoin. Now, the dynamic of this could change, because the reason I'm bringing this up is somebody asked me in the chat, like, hey, does Bitcoin determine the overall market? So it has a big impact, like I was saying. But if we do see something like Ether flipping Bitcoin, which is going to be harder now, because, Ether took a tumble with Bitcoin over the weekend as well, then basically, it could change the game in terms of how we think about it. But for now, Bitcoin does have a pretty big impact on what's going on with the overall market. So we can actually look at the ETH to BTC ratio. See where we are now. So the current ETH to BCT ratio is 0.07. So it's not too bad, okay? We're still at a pretty big high. We could look at the last. Yeah, we didn't correct too much in those terms. So we were over 0.08 earlier. So another thing we can look at is this. So we got ratio gangs. So we were above 0.08, like I was saying here. A flipping would happen at 0.16, so ETH would have to go up to $7,103. So we would need we definitely need some bullish momentum to carry us across that line anytime soon. I would be surprised if we just sort of rocketed off in that direction. So somebody says, I think most people here agree DeFi and decentralized is in general a good thing, but do you think the likes of SEC getting involved to regulate some shady activity is good or bad? So it's a good question. I mean, I think in terms of regulation, over time, I think it's inevitable that we'll see some sort of regulations get into the space. And the good thing about, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to regulate centralized participants. So if you're talking about like regulation for people pumping crypto prices, it's a lot easier to take action against this individual who does that. We're talking about decentralized, though. Part of the benefit you're trying to achieve is to actually create something that can't be really just turned off by a regulator. So we think about like Uniswap, for example. So what is Uniswap? It's a decentralized application. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange. Well, let's start with the problem and the solution. So let's say you were trading on a cryptocurrency exchange, that didn't you traded on a cryptocurrency exchange that did not require KYC. They did not require your identity, but it was a centralized cryptocurrency exchange. Think about like Coinbase or Binance. Let's say somebody created a Coinbase or Binance clone, put it on a server in some country that's got like really loose, regulations, and then said like, hey, you don't have to give us your ID documents in order to trade with us, but we're going to hold all your funds, okay? So you go sign up for that exchange, you start using it, and you put a bunch of money on it. And let's say regulators come in because they operate in a specific country, and they say, hey, you're not following like KYC compliance. We're going to shut you down. And when they shut you down, like your money is on that exchange. Like that's a really big problem. Okay, so that's a problem. Let's think about solution. So Uniswap is a decentralized exchange. You control your funds with your wallet until you trade. Okay, so basically with Uniswap, you have smart contracts that are put on the blockchain. Of course, it's created by developers and then put on a blockchain. So maybe like the developers who created it could, fall under some sort of penalty of the law, and maybe they have, maybe actions taken against them. But once the app is out there on top of the blockchain, there's nothing you can do to turn it off. Okay. Because it's created by smart contracts. It's put on there. They're immutable. They can't change. You can't just have a developer say, hey, turn Uniswap off. It's, against the law, which I don't think Uniswap's against the law, but that's the whole point. And then also like you can't shut down the underlying blockchain underneath it. Okay. So like Ethereum is a very decentralized network. It's runs in multiple countries. You can't really just like go to each Ethereum node and say, hey, stop running. Like we don't want this blockchain thing to run anymore. That's basically a problem that you can't enforce unless you just had like a one world government or something like that. Right. So that's the benefit of decentralization. So I do think it will be time. I think we will basically like see regulations come into the space. I think it's inevitable. But that's going to more or less like prevent people from putting things on the chain that shouldn't be there. And then basically the recourse at that point is just like prosecuting people who created it. But then once it's created, like you can't shut it down. You know what I mean? Or maybe you'll see regulations where people are prosecuted who try to manipulate markets or something. And it's much easier to go after those people, but you can't really change the market itself. So I don't know if that answers your question, but those are some of my thoughts on the matter. I do think that like people who are building DeFi for the future, it's good to play friendly with regulators in the sense of it's inevitable. And the more, cooperative you can be, the better. So we got some more questions in the chat here. Spice's market cap is about to go under $2 trillion. Let's actually check on the prices themselves right now. So let's just check it out here. So overall crypto market cap is, yeah, $2.1 trillion. So ETH is about $3,378. So we can see what's happened over the past 7 days. So yeah, we topped out at about $4,200 and we're down around $3,300. And then Bitcoin, let's take a look at the price here. $44,322. Okay. So, you can check out different people who have talked about like what were the support bands for Bitcoin. Did we break this, that moving average, all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not a big technical analysis guru. Okay. So you can definitely go check out some of those channels that are better at that than me, to look at some of those metrics and try to get, indication of what's going on from a technical perspective. But again, I try to think about this in terms of big picture. I try to look at what people are, who are more skilled and smarter than me in this particular area. What are they saying? Different people disagree. Okay. But I try to like weigh those opinions and try to make the best decision for myself. Who do I think is right? Because again, I make personal decisions based off these types of things. And I tell you sort of like what my personal decision-making framework is based upon that information. That's the value that I try to provide. So one opportunity though, and this is not financial advice for anyone watching this channel, but let's say you're of the opinion that things are going to continue, that there's a lot of bullish catalysts. This would be a major opportunity. You know what I mean? We can look at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. Let me just pull it up. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is pretty crazy. Okay. So if you check this out, this was from, let's see, yesterday, I believe. Yeah, yesterday. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is basically at, we haven't hit this level since March of 2020 on Black Thursday when, everything tanked. Crypto prices were down like crazy. So I'll just put it this way. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy the dip, not telling you to buy the dip. But if you convince yourself that this is a dip, then this would be an insane opportunity. Because if you look at what happened historically with the crypto prices, the last time we were at this level of fear in the market, let's just pull it up here. Let's see here. Yeah. Pull up my screen here. The last time we were at this level of fear in the marketplace, okay, March of 2020, Bitcoin was down to like about $5,000. ETH was down to like $150. So imagine what had happened if you bought them when everybody else was too scared. There's reasons behind the price going down. When everybody freaks out and they think that, the global events of last year were game over for everything, the stock market was way down. I mean, you're seeing a very similar type of thing here where, the stock market's down, you got crypto prices going down, you got all this type of stuff. If you've convinced yourself that the market's going to go up after that, like a lot of people did, I personally did, and was buying at those levels, there was a massive reward. Okay. Now for me, just thinking about it, the risk reward was a lot higher back then because, historically you've seen a lot of chances to buy Bitcoin at $1,000 or sorry, at $5,000. You know what I mean? But right now, historically, you haven't really seen a lot of chances to buy Bitcoin at, roughly $47,000. I mean, you have over the past 3 months, but not over all of time. So the risk reward is different. It's different for sure. But back then, the whole point I'm trying to make is, people who went in when everybody was way too scared made really high returns. I'm not saying it's the same scenario. I'm not saying it's rinse and repeat. I'm not giving you financial advice to go in and buy the dip. But what I am saying is talking about, financial upside and what happens when other people are, too scared to act and you act. Sometimes the rewards can be big. But you can't systematically just buy the dip on everything because you would buy every coin that went to zero, right? And we can see what the fear and greed index is. I mean, 20. It's crazy. It's way far to the left. All right, everybody, so that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. You know, if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. If you like those and you went to the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, you don't have to be an expert to get started today. Help people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching.